later, they're attracted to you. And you got to be strong in the inner man to be able to push back those temptations, to overcome those temptations. And I'm telling you today, if any of you have fallen prey to adultery or to sexual sin, confess it. The sooner you get to confession, the sooner you're going to get to prosperity in God. You will not prosper. Your soul will not prosper. Your ministry will prosper until you just get it out. You don't have to take it to the church, but you can take it to somebody, and you can start dealing with the sexual sins. Around here, that's a big problem. People fall into sexual sin and it blows up the church and the guy has to leave, and it's real sad. You feel bad for everybody. You feel bad for the congregation. You feel bad for the pastor, the one his wife, and the one he left, to go off with. Everybody's ruined. Everybody's got some kind of dark cloud now over their life, and they'll never get past it. So you got to hang out with Jesus. Now, what did Jesus do? You turn back to Mark chapter 1. He calls the disciples by the sea. He was not at the temple, he was by the sea. And by the sea, he saw fishermen. He was in the place of commerce. He was in the place of culture and community life. He called people out of community life. He didn't necessarily call them out of the academia life. He didn't go to where they were teaching the next generation rabbis, about Judaism. He went where there were fishermen. So you got to understand that he's not looking for scholars. He's looking for hearts that he can train, the ones that he knows all of them from eternity past, that they have been selected by the Father long before time began. It's something that we can't understand. But God knows the hearts of men, and he knows who he's going to pick. But as a man, Jesus had to seek the will of the Father. He had to pray, and he had to meditate long and hard to know for sure who he was going to pick. But he picked him, because it says, verse 17 of Mark chapter 1, then Jesus said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. These were the words that motivated me to step out of man and into God. He said, I will make you a fisher of men. Jesus is the one who trains his preachers. The ones that are sent from God are trained by Jesus. You can identify them by how they speak and how they move. Okay? Then he says, they left their nets immediately. Now, they didn't start preaching immediately, but they followed Jesus immediately. And when we left New Jersey and came here, it was pretty sudden. And we were resisted. And I'm sure that Peter and John and James and Andrew struggled with leaving the fishing thing, and their father probably struggled letting them go. But it doesn't give us all the narrative. All it tells us is they did it. And so whatever that means to you personally, what it's going to mean to your family, what it's going to mean to your friendships, what it's going to mean to your church life, it may mean that you lose it all like I did. But it doesn't matter. When Jesus calls you and he says, come, follow me. My sheep hear my voice and they follow me. You come and you follow Jesus Christ. Do you get that? If you don't get that, you won't get the rest. I'll be wasting my time here. And I don't do this to waste my time. I'm doing this because I believe God has put me in a place where it's time to start downloading the things that he's been teaching me in the wilderness and in Pilot Mountain. So I'm excited about this information. I believe that it will help a lot of you get through some of the struggles you're wrestling with right now. For some of you, you went too fast and you need to pull back. For some of you, you're laying back and you need to move forward. And some of you are right where you're supposed to be. And these words are going to comfort you and encourage you that you are okay, that God is working it out for you, that Jesus is over top of you, and Jesus is hearing his voice, and he is guiding you step for step. So when they went a little farther, Jesus selected some more disciples, and he called to them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired servants. They had work, real work. They had fishing that needed to be done. They had a business that needed to keep running. But notice, they left their father with the hired servants. The hired servants now were going to do their job. The hired servants were going to get a promotion. They now were going to bump up, and they were going to be a little bit more prosperous because Peter, James, John, Andrew, left their fishing position, their inheritance, as it were, in the fishing business, and they followed Jesus. So for some of you, you were going to give somebody a better job. I've done that. When I left the Magna Grip business, which was a diesel exhaust removal business, and I was the East Coast regional manager, and God was calling me into this cafe ministry in 2006, and in 2007 I put both feet into it, and I could not give full attention to working that other business. It required a lot of travel, and the other thing, the ministry business, required more of my time. So I had to focus my attention on the ministry, and I was preaching, and God was just sucking me in. But in turn, I was not doing my other job with the time commitment that it required. So what happened was is other people were able to take my position that I had created for myself and the income that I had created, and I lost that. I lost that income. And it was good, it was six-figure income. It was the best money I'd ever made. And I could see that I felt like God was restoring some things that were stolen in the 90s from me in that same industry. But the Lord's like, no, I'm giving you a little money to get you going into ministry so that you can learn from me. I had 4 opportunities to go to a seminary or attempts to go to a seminary or inquiries to go to a seminary in my adult life. And every time, God shut it down. And I really believe that it's because he wanted me to spend time with him. Not everybody's going to have to go through what I went through. See, we're pioneers. Some of us are called to break into new territory and to cut a new edge. And I believe that God has called me to do something different. My uncle, I sat under him for 15 years. I heard about him ever since a kid, but he was trying to do something different. He was cutting a new edge. But now I'm cutting a new edge. In a world that's gone mad, in a world where communication is everywhere. The internet is just a common thing now, where the postmodern generation just has been racked with lie after lie after lie that has come to them from the baby boom generation. Lies about their identity as a man. Evolution has run amok and just stolen our dignity as created in the image of God. We have the war of the sexes. We have sexual confusion. We have the drug culture just dominating. And that's witchcraft. If you don't think that's witchcraft, there's people that have written on this topic. But when you go into drug use and you go into the crack and the meth and the heroin and the cocaine and the stuff I don't even know about because I don't keep up on it. But all I can tell you is that every time you get high, you're connecting to the darkness. You're connecting to the spirit realm. And see, what's so funny is Jesus is very spiritual. But people today, young people, are scared of Jesus in the spirit realm. But they're not afraid to put their soul at risk and go into every form of debauchery and take drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, and experience these wild highs and these crazy lows. And all the while, they're dancing with demons. That's an aside. I'm sorry I got on that. But I've been dealing with this in young people. They're scared to death. When I start talking about spirit realm, I start talking about speaking in tongues, I start about dealing with demonic forces and principalities, powers, everybody gets scared, but they don't realize they're already in it. They're already dealing with it. And these disciples are going to see pretty quick in Capernaum that on the Sabbath, this is what the Lord did. Right away in Mark chapter 1, they watched and they saw him teach with authority, which was different than anybody else. It was, thus said the Lord. And that's, again, where we got to get back to. We can't be pandering to, this view, that view, that view. It's thus said the Lord when it comes to the law of God, when it comes to what Jesus did when he died on the cross, when it comes to the resurrection, when it comes to the Holy Spirit, when it comes to what does it really mean to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. We got to be thus said the Lord. And that's where we're going to be. Preachers say, thus said the Lord. And Jesus was giving God the Father's words in the synagogue where there was a lot of sharing, a lot of discussion, a lot of analytics. And he said to all those people with authority, this is what Yahweh says. This is what your Father in heaven says. And he said it with unction, with power in the Spirit. And there was a man in that synagogue. Notice, you think church is safe? I'm telling you, church is one of the most unsafe places if you want to get away from demons. Demons spend so much time. They know the Bible inside out, more than humans do. They've read it inside out. They know how to twist it and turn it. And they know how to, I mean, if